Hello, this is Alec Rogers, and today I will be discussing instructional design and technology for e-learning. In our first slide, we see Horton defines e-learning as the use of electronic technologies to create learning experiences. This simple definition creates a wide scope of e-learning methods. In this video, we will discuss 6 varieties of learning. The 6 varieties of learning are standalone courses, learning games and simulations, mobile learning, social learning, virtual classroom courses, and the creation of new varieties. Each of the 6 varieties has collaboration technologies that enhance and facilitate the learning design. Standalone courses are achieved by administrating an asynchronous learning module in the classroom or workplace. An example would be to have required corporate training modules. Learning games and simulations are created to enhance the material by allowing students to interact and experience the material through a hands-on experience. Examples of this would be an educational game or simulated online dissections. Mobile learning allows the learner to access the material anywhere through the use of a mobile device. An example of this would be an app to access course material on a smartphone. Social learning enables the students to experience interactive material from peers and experts. An example of this would be an educational blog. Virtual classroom courses are designed to simulate a traditional classroom setting with readings, discussions, and assignments, but virtually. An example of this would be an online degree from Ashford or other universities. The 6th variety is an open-ended creation of new ideas such as the use for virtual or augmented reality. New methods and adaptations are created all the time. Correctly designed e-learning will enhance student learning, collaboration, and communication. Converging e-learning together into design is a difficult and constantly changing endeavor, which calls for meticulous planning and creating. There are 2 separate design principles when it comes to designing e-learning: the design of the e-learning lesson and the instructional design. The design of the e-learning lesson is the aesthetic parts of the lesson. The aesthetic parts consist of color, fonts, images, audio, and more. There has to be a sweet spot of using the appropriate amount of these aesthetic tools without becoming a distraction to the learner. Instructional design is the blueprint or guideline on how the materials will be taught to the learner. The instructional design of the lesson will change and adapt to the learning objectives. For the design to be successful, it needs to engage the learners and keep them interested throughout the entire lesson. Draw them in with images and audio and keep them engaged with the design that allows them to experience the material. Make sure you use the correct technology for the learning objective based on your accessibility and needs of your students. Finally, it is important that you completely and clearly communicate to the students what they are expected to accomplish and how they will do it. E-learning is influenced by instructional design models through their ability to provide the framework and guidance of how the lesson will be taught. There are 3 sequences of teaching that are used in instructional design: bottom-up, top-down, and sideways. In a bottom-up teaching sequence, the lesson starts with prerequisites and then works its way up to more advanced material. The lesson is designed with the assumption that the students have zero knowledge on the subject beforehand. An example of this would be teaching math equations. In a top-down sequence, the lesson starts with the main objective of the lesson and works down the material as needed. If there are any material that is missed before the lesson, there will be links or resources to help fill in the gaps. An example of this would be designing a lesson where the students create a mind map. In a sideways teaching sequence, the lesson allows the learner to explore the material in any way they deem fit. The lesson is designed like a sandbox, where the students have to stay in the box, but they can experience in any order or manner they choose. An example of this would be an educational role-playing game, where they have to complete multiple tasks in any order. Technology needs to be leveraged into design to further enhance e-learning. One instructional design model that shows this is TPAK, T-P-A-K. The TPACK model is the intricate mixture of three primary aspects of knowledge, which are content, pedagogy, and technology. In this instructional design model, all three of these aspects need to be equal. In a recent study by Lee and Kim, it is stated that while TACK is a conceptual framework that emphasizes the interplay of the 7 domains of knowledge, the study findings suggest that a lack of isolated knowledge in any domain hinder the understanding of the whole knowledge, which is TPACK. This model shows the emphasis that needs to be put on the technology that is correctly chosen and adequately delivered. Using this model for design shows that without proper use of a technology, the lesson will come up short. In e-learning, the sole goal of the technology is to enhance the learning material. If at any point the technology becomes a distraction or a hindrance, then it has failed. The best practices to make sure this does not happen are that the technology is aesthetically designed, that the correct technology is chosen, and that the teacher is fluent in the chosen technology. Make sure that when using the technology, do not go overboard with graphics, colors, and effects. The aesthetic aspect of design is meant to engage learners, not distract them. A good idea would be to test out the material on yourself or colleagues. If it's taking away from your lesson, then tone it down. Previously, we discussed the 6 varieties of e-learning with corresponding technologies and examples. It is imperative that when designing a lesson, the support from a technology that you chose the correct technology. The best practice for this is to test out multiple technologies and variants to determine which is the most successful for the lesson. When choosing a technology, you have to make sure that you are fluent in that technology. Do not use a technology that you are uncomfortable or inexperienced with, as this will ultimately hurt the lesson. The longer that you have to struggle to understand the technology during the course, the less time you have to use it. A good suggestion would be to read up on blogs and watch videos on how technology works. This will not only help you with becoming fluent in that technology, you may also learn helpful delivery tricks. A key aspect in e-learning is classroom management. Knowing your students and how they interact with online learning is crucial. A method to know your classroom is figuring out which intelligence dominates. According to Lever, Duffy, and McDonald, there are 9 intelligences: linguistic, logistical, mathematical, musical, spatial, body kinesthetic, interpersonal, intrapersonal, naturalistic, and existential. Once you have identified the dominant intelligence, you can adapt your e-learning to fit them. If your class is existential or linguistic dominant, you can tailor your online lesson to have discussions or journals to be an important component. If your class is spatial or bodily kinesthetic, you can create an educational game to allow these learners to experience the material in a hands-on method. The best practice for classroom management and e-learning is knowing and adapting to your class. Technology can influence teaching and classroom management and e-learning by what the learning objectives are and how the technology is designed. In e-learning, technology is the vehicle that takes the learners through the material. If that vehicle is an online educational game, the class is influenced to be a learning environment where the students are engaged in the material. The educational game can be designed to enable collaboration or solo learning. If the goals have to do with collaboration and critical thinking, the game will be designed to incorporate team-building critical activities. The classroom environment will be encouraged to engage with other students. However, if the technology used is an asynchronous instructional video like this one here, the classroom management will be tailored to keeping the classroom focused and engaged on that video. Technology and its design and delivery will change how you teach and manage a class during that lesson. Well, that's all for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. You will be sent a transcript of all the material with references as well via email. As always, thank you for listening.